All right, Chair, we're ready to start whenever you are.
Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. So good afternoon. Welcome to Borders Committee for June 23rd, 2023. I'm Jesus Escobar. I'm the vice chair. Unfortunately, our chair couldn't be with us today, so I will be conducting the meeting. Before we start, Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, I can confirm we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Again, we apologize for the late initiation of this meeting. Please note that this is being translated via simultaneous interpretation. And very importantly, I want to respectfully acknowledge that we live and work on traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of tribal nations, including the Kumeyaay, Luiseño, Cupeño, and Coahuila peoples. We share strong historical and cultural roots that unite us with all of our borders. As we continue in this hybrid format, I want to let you know the guidelines for conducting meetings virtually via Zoom. Members of the public, including board committee members that would like to speak on an item, please use the raise hand icon in the Zoom toolbar. When you are called on by the chair or the clerk, you will be unmuted by SANDAG staff. If you're calling in by phone, you may need to enter *6 to unmute yourself. With that, let's move on with the agenda. Item number 1, public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Here we have three members of the public who'd like to speak on this item. Sorry, just a moment. We just need to get the interpreter set up before I continue.
Do we want to make it official as far as interpretations and how we conduct that?
Thank you, Chair Escobar. We will begin with the announcement in Spanish and then we will be back with the announcement in English. Para hacer uso del servicio de interpretación, favor de desplazarse a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom, donde aparecen los controles, haga clic en el icono de interpretación, globo terráqueo y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom desde un celular, tableta, etcétera, presione los puntos suspensivos, luego Interpretation y luego el idioma. To use the Zoom interpretation feature, please scroll to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting controls are. Click on the interpretation icon, world, and select either English or Spanish. If you are joining using the Zoom mobile app, cell phone, tablet, please press the ellipsis, 3 dots, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Additionally, to access English, Spanish simultaneous interpretation in the room in person, check out a headset from the receptionist. Gracias, and thank you, Chair Escobar.
Thank you. We do have a few members of the public who'd like to speak on this item. We'll start with Jacqueline Reynoso and go to Catherine Rhodes. And Jacqueline, you're self-muted at the moment, so you can start whenever you're ready.
I'm sorry, that was done by accident. I'm just listening in today.
No problem at all. Thank you for letting us know. We'll go to Catherine Rhodes, and then after Catherine will be Blair Beekman.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes, and I just want to say what I said at the Board of Directors meeting. I really do think SANDAG should take over the project of the Tijuana River pollution and everything to do with the International Boundary and Water Commission. And so what I recommend is that you, SANDAG, ask for state and federal enabling legislation very similar to the Otay Mesa Port Crossing, and you could have a one-of-a-kind agreement. And the agreement would be between SANDAG, the EPA, who actually has the money, the Custom and Border Patrol, and the International Boundary and Water Commission. And and I'm not sure if you saw the wastewater, the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant is kind of broken and it's not working properly right now. And so if you create this as a SANDAG project instead of an EPA project, we could get, you guys could get it moving sooner. And so that's what I'm recommending. And then let's see. The other thing I always try to say when I come to the board committee is my my ongoing my ongoing concerns regarding that there has never been any fault investigations along the border. And I remember back in the day, we used to have maps that said, you know, there's active faulting crossing the border probably about 3 or 4 times, going right by all the canyons where everything always breaks all the time. And so, you know, I asked you guys to one day, if this becomes your project, actually do a fault investigation, because you'll learn so many good things and what to avoid. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Blair Beekman, who will be followed by Barbara Torres.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks for the meeting today. I wanted to also comment on the Tijuana border issues in the, I don't know if it's sewer water or what water that runs into the ocean. There's a lot of federal dollars coming in right now for sewer and water runoff repairs, not just in San Diego, but in throughout, I think, at least the major cities of California. And it's been pretty surprising and interesting. There's a lot of new demands from federal agencies about water quality. And so I imagine some of these dollars will be going to the Tijuana area. In the San Jose area, where I'm from, initially, they were using those dollars for law enforcement things, and to shush people away from the creek areas, unhoused people, because they were hurting the water quality. And so they were finding them housing and trying to make up and trying to work on that process. I'm a bit uncomfortable with the law enforcement aspects of these sort of federal dollars to be used in that way, but I just to simply note that at this time can hopefully be of help in how to talk about it if you need to. But overall, I just wanted to mention, I hope that you're working with federal dollars towards repairs in that area. I learned interesting information that it's the San Diego pipe that goes into the ocean that was built maybe in the 80s or so, that was supposed to be a fix-it, save thing that ended up, I think it's causing more problems at this time than it initially was planned to be. And it's a contributor, a major contributor to the problem. So good luck in working on these issues and you know, addressing this important. And of course, with my work in tech accountability, good luck in ideas of open public policies and accountability practices. There's going to be a lot of, we're talking about, you know, issues of Otay Mesa and building a new purple line trolley. That's going to be a lot of tech involved that we can have open public policies and trust to have open conversation about. It can be difficult to have open conversation. I think that's an important goal, to learn to have more open conversation. We now can, and it's interesting to have those conversations. And with that, possibly to lessen the actual needs of what we think is what we need of technology. We may not. And so good luck in those efforts, and thanks, and good luck with mixed income housing ideas with the Tijuana area and working in cooperation with Housing Future ideas as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be the original draw. You can go ahead.
Yeah, as we are, you know, talking about all this stuff with the border, and there is all of this sewage runoff that, you know, we're set to declare an emergency for it so we can get money, but that should, you know, make you look into the tactics and, you know, things that Mexico engages in and refuses to mitigate. But then once it comes on to, you know, past their area, it becomes our problem. And so we have to do that, but we're, you know, also engaging with having people come across the border, and you want more and more people to, well, they don't have the same regulations that we do here for cars and smog and all of that. And so as you talk about greenhouse gases and trying to like mitigate that, how can you mitigate that from another country when their regulations will never be the same? And I mean, as we can see with the sewage, their, you know, willingness to keep things the way you guys want doesn't seem to be in line And so, you know, and also thinking about opening this new border crossing, you know, to make more money in the United States. There are families in Mexico that depend on the money that they make from the border crossing, from all the people being there. That's how a lot of them make a living, because they sell stuff while people are waiting. And so in your pursuit to make more money here, how is that equitable for them when that's going to be taking from any kind of money that they use to take care of their families? You're not going to offer some other kind of, you know, system or way for them to make money, but you're willing to take it because you guys want that to be going on here. So I don't think you guys think about, you know, the way that it's like a domino effect. Everything that you do affects something else. And so in your pursuit to always want to be the ones to take the money and get all that money because you need to get your fair share, whether it be from people here or people anywhere else, you know, you take away from others. And so I think you just need to think about that, and how everything is holistic and it does affect things down the line when you do things like that. And so these families are going to be left, you know, what are they going to do at that point when there's, you know, you're just letting people cross the border so fast that they can't make any of that money. And that's what they rely on. So I don't know, in your guys's pursuit of all of this, I think you need to think about everybody, because everybody talks about equity, but nothing you do is equitable when you try and have it. It's like, it's just impossible.
Thank you. That concludes the public comments on this item.
Thank you. Do we have any board member comments? Before we move on, I just want to acknowledge a couple of people, Monica, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name, last name, Gardine, from Federal Highway Administration. Thank you and welcome. Don Jose Galicot, buenas tardes, bienvenido. And last but definitely not least, from the city of San Diego, Vivian Moreno. We haven't seen you for a long time. I'm glad to see you and congratulations.
Thank you.
With that, we're moving on to item number 2, agency reports. Mr. Ryan Cahoot, go for it.
Thank you. Ryan Kohut, SANDAG Director of Strategic Projects. Nope. Yeah, we learned last week that the San Diego region is slated to receive more than $260 million from the California Transportation Commission. 140 million of that is recommended for the Otay East Port of Entry project. 18.5 million is recommended for the Harbor Drive 2.0 Port Access Improvements project. And $103 million is recommended to double track and replace the 80-year-old bridge across the Bataquitos Lagoon. We also received a $1.1 million award for LoSAN through the Federal Rail Crossing Elimination Program. This is a significant amount of funding for this region. In other good news, yesterday we celebrated the launch of Ride Fact Now, a new and first of its kind on-demand specialized transportation service in our region. Now people who use mobility devices can call and get a ride with as little as 1 hour notice. Last Saturday, we co-hosted a very successful beach cleanup with the Surfrider Foundation in Imperial Beach. 120 volunteers cleaned up several large bags full of plastic and other garbage. We are making progress on the airport transit connection as well as the Blue Line and Purple Line studies. For Purple Line, we executed the consultant contract and released a notice to proceed, so the study will begin soon. It will evaluate the long-term idea of implementing a new passenger rail line between the South Bay and Sorrento Valley. In today's board meeting, staff presented information on the proposed amendment to the 2021 regional plan, and the board conducted a public hearing. This amendment lays out the removal of the local road usage charge, or RUC, from the regional plan. And lastly, everyone is invited to join us in our virtual kickoff meeting for the 2025 regional plan on Thursday, June 29th at 6 p.m. This is a chance for the public to learn a lot more about the regional plan and how its comments can shape it. And we want our projects to serve everyone in the region, and that will all start with you. With that, thank you, Chair. And if it pleases the Chair, I'll throw things to Barbara Torres from SANDAG Public Affairs to give us a brief project update.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Barbara Torres, and I'm a Senior Public Affairs Officer with SANDAG. My role at SANDAG primarily supports the development of the Otay Mesa East Port of Entry and other South Bay and border-related programs. As a metropolitan and regional transportation planning agency, we rely on data to make smart decisions that will improve the movement of people and goods throughout our binational region. And I have some exciting updates to share with you. And I hope this is the first of many meetings I can attend to keep you all up to date on our work. The Otay Mesa Port of Entry project is a joint effort between Caltrans, SANDAG, and the US and Mexico federal governments to create a 21st century border crossing for the San Diego, Baja California region. As part of that project, we completed the installation of a new border wait time system, which will inform border crossers about current wait times, special lane conditions, and incidents in the San Isidro and Otay Mesa ports of entry. The system and its data will be the backbone of a new pilot mobile application SANDAG and Caltrans hope to release later this summer. But we can't get there without your help. We first need to validate our border wait time data collected by traffic readers before releasing the application to the public. To support this data validation effort, we are calling for volunteers, there are frequent border crossers, to participate in the border wait time survey, where travelers will track how long it takes them to cross the border through Otay Mesa or San Isidro. Whether you're traveling in a passenger or commercial vehicle, we would like to invite you to participate in the survey and help us provide the public with the most accurate border wait time data possible. The survey will go live on Monday, June 26th. That's this coming Monday, and it will run until July 31st. If you're interested in participating in our survey, you can let myself know. I'll make my email available, or you can go up to Hector or Sam. I think Sam is in the room. I don't know if can wave to you guys there. And please let us know that you are interested in participating, and we can set you up. Otherwise, you can also sign up for the Otay Mesa East Project newsletter and receive a link on Monday when the survey goes live. If you don't cross the border regularly but would like to engage, we hope you'll share your ideas of what the application should be called. We are collecting naming suggestions, and by signing up to the Otay Mesa East newsletter, you'll receive updates on how to submit your naming ideas. We hope you all will participate in the survey and share this information with your networks. You're able to broadcast this opportunity to your networks. We do have a toolkit to provide to you that includes newsletter, graphics, anything that you need, we have produced. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at any time or see Hector or Sam after the meeting. I look forward to sharing more project updates with you, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Ryan. Francesca, do we have public comments? But prior to taking public comments and giving effect, it's 15 to 2, respecting everybody's time. If we could limit public comments to 1 minute moving forward. With that, do we have public comments?
Thank you, Chair. We do have 3 members of the public who'd like to speak on this item. We'll start with Catherine Rhodes and then go to the original draw.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes. And, questions I have, when's the airport connectivity and central mobility hub ER coming to the board? I thought it was coming this month. And then where's that 300 million from the San Diego County Regional Airport Authority that they promised back in 2019? So it's been 4 years, and I think so far you have 0 money from them. And so the other thing is, I think the PB shuttle should be free, so you could have coastal access with the trolley pass. So I think you should, instead of having it be paid by parking, I think that it would be good to be paid by SANDAG and people would actually use it. And then, of course, we need the new U.S. Custom and Border Protection officer, so all the border crossing lanes can be open. And so, some of my questions, if you're going to do all this, asking people for information, maybe you could ask them how many lanes are open when they're there. And you could see that a lot of times a whole bunch of lanes are closed. So one thing I would like you to ask them is how many lanes are open and how many lanes are closed, and if they could get that information also. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be the original draw, who will be followed by Blair Beekman.
You shouldn't be cutting our time like this, but you know, this whole collecting people's data, the problem with that is that you guys will use it against us. You act like, you know, you can use it to help things, but you also use it to bring in punitive things like this road usage charge that has supposedly been maybe taken off of this plan, but I'd like to know when that comes into fruition and with the state, because there seems to be two coming down the pipeline. What happens with the border crossing, and are you going to be, you know, enforcing that with the people that cross the border as well? Because, you know, it shouldn't just be the people here paying that, but you need to be able to have a way to enforce it upon everybody or no one at all, because we shouldn't even be doing that. We shouldn't be, but this is pushing everybody into a new way of life. You guys are doing it because you need to change the behavior of people, which is very dangerous, and exactly why they have all these behavioral health initiatives, because you need people to comply with the new way you're pushing them to be living. And so therefore you have to punitively punish them through taxes and other ways.
I think our next speaker is Blair Beekman, and Blair will be our last speaker on this item.
Hi, Blair Beekman. I just wanted to quickly offer a few words for my public comment time. With all these good border, with these new border things you're working on, to have a open, accountable technology policy and process in order in what is developing in this country at the local level, it'd be interesting to see how that could be developed at the border itself, possibly as goodwill gestures, as understandings of how good practices, and I think it could do something interesting, and that's just I mentioned at this time. Good luck in this sort of work. I'm really interested in it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, that concludes the speakers. Sorry.
Thank you, Francesca. Any board member comments? Seeing none, moving on to item 3, approval of minutes. I do want to let the committee know that there is a request to move item 6 and take that item as the next item on our agenda. With that, do I have a motion to approve the minutes and move item 6 to? Thank you. Do I have a motion and a second? Thank you for interrupting me. Roll call, please.
Thank you. For South County, Councilmember Chavez. Present. For East County, Vice Mayor Koval. Aye. For the City of San Diego, Councilmember Moreno.
Yes.
For the County of San Diego, Supervisor Anderson.
Aye.
For Imperial County, Vice Chair Escobar.
Yes.
For North County Coastal, Councilmember Drucker.
Yes.
For North County Inland, Mayor White.
Yes.
And that item passes unanimously.
Thank you, Francesca. Moving on to item 6. It is a presentation. I know it's by NatBank, but let me read the official title. NatBank, a green bank for the U.S.-Mexico border, as presented by Jesse Hereford, North American Development Bank. Jesse, you're on.
Sorry, we needed to move him over to a panelist, so he's on his way.
Hello, can you all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity and moving me around on the agenda. Members of the Borders Committee, it's great to be with you today, and thank you to Hector Venegas for all the work he's done. I served on this committee when I lived in San Diego from 2004, 2005, and 2006, so it's good to be amongst many friends. If we go to the next slide, please. The North American Development Bank was established in 1994. Our mandate is to develop and finance environmental infrastructure along the U.S.-Mexico border to improve the well-being of the population. We can finance projects 62 miles into the United States and 186 miles into Mexico. We're owned and operated by the U.S. and Mexican federal governments. We're headquartered in San Antonio, Texas, and have an office in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. And then you can see our ratings. Next slide, please. This is the bank's development strategy. You know, water has always been the core of the projects that the bank does. There's a slide that's coming up. 2/3 of all the projects that we finance are in water. We will always be engaged and focused on water and all aspects of water. We've also done solid waste, some landfills, air quality is a big one, border crossings. We're involved with Otay Mesa, thanks to SANDAG and Caltrans. And then sustainable energy, that's the largest piece of our lending portfolio today. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of movement more towards storage. And so we've currently financed 2 projects in California, one in San Diego County that I have a slide for later. And then, the 2 newest sectors for the bank are sustainable cities and sustainable production. Our board of directors at the end of 2021, moved us into this area and, which entails urban development, sustainable buildings, which is like LEED certified, sustainable industrial parks, EV charging stations. And then on the production side is the manufacturing of green products or green manufacturing processes, as well as food value chain. And we have an example of one of those types of projects here coming up. And our entire strategy is to fight climate change through mitigation and adaptation. We can go to the next slide, please. So how do we finance projects? It's, we have three products, loans, grants, and technical assistance. Our loans are competitive, fixed, or floating, can go up to 30 years for communities. And then we also have the technical support and project structuring services in-house to ensure that it's the right fit for a community and it's the right project for a community. Grants, we administer the EPA-funded Border Environmental Infrastructure Fund. A lot of the projects that we finance in Tijuana are actually funded through BEEF. And then, because we're a nonprofit governmental bank, any profits that we make get rolled into our other grant programs, such as our CAP program. And that's a $500,000 maximum grant award for physical infrastructure for smaller communities that can't take on the debt, which is very important. And then we administer Border 2025 on behalf of the EPA and Semarnat. And then technical assistance. We help with project development, pay for studies, pay for environmental studies, final designs, those types of things to get the project to construction readiness. We help with capacity building and project coordination and binational project coordination, I should also add, because we work on both sides of the border. Next slide, please. Our financing criteria is very simple. Every project that's funded by us has to meet the following criteria. Has to be technically viable, financially self-sufficient. We have to have a documented environmental benefit. And then we try to contribute to the sustainable development of the border. I mean, we want things that are going to continue and not fall apart on us. We want to continue to help the border thrive through the green transition, whether that be energy, EVs, all these types of things. Next slide, please. Next slide is just, we have a proven track record of the 294 projects that we financed, since 1994. Total investment is 10.8 billion. Of that 10.8, 3.6 has come through the bank. And again, you'll see in the pie chart, 2/3 of our projects are water and wastewater related. That's the identity of the bank. And that will always be the identity of the bank. But we are moving into other sectors thanks to the board's direction. Next slide, please. This just shows our regional participation in Cali Baja. In California, we financed 27 projects, $478 million contracted. In Baja, 37 projects for $428 million contracted. And you'll see on the Tijuana side, it's more water, wastewater. On the California side, it's water, wastewater, as well as solar energy. So those are the 2 big sectors for us there locally. Next slide, please. This slide just shows what we've done in the clean energy sector since 2011. We financed 40 projects, $1.76 billion, pretty evenly split between the US and Mexico. And then on the circle chart on the right, you'll see how that breaks out. So the majority is in solar, followed by wind, and then followed by everything else, which is biogas, energy storage, biodiesel and 1 solar plus energy storage, which is a cool project that we just got off the ground. And the very interesting thing about that is we've mobilized over $6.2 billion of private capital through our lending and through these projects. Next slide, please. So this is the Border Water Infrastructure Program. These are EPA funds that they grant to the bank to finance projects on both sides of the border. Since 1997, we've done 137 projects, $711 million contracted. Again, evenly split. We don't try for that. It's just kind of the way the numbers worked out. 122 completed projects, 15 in process, and you'll see that these funds supported the development of projects that benefited 9 million people, and first-time sewer service for almost 1 million people as well. Next slide, please. We're very, very excited. This is a new loan, a sustainable loan that we presented to we signed with Baja California, focused on water and wastewater. We signed it in January. We had an event in March for the program, for the signing, and it'll allow the state to secure adequate water supply as well as addressing wastewater issues. I heard in the public comment period, several folks talked about the Tijuana River issues. That's something that we deal with on a pretty regular basis. And so, very excited. This was the first sustainable loan in Mexico at a non-federal level. So we were excited to be a part of that, and excited to be part of the solution in trying to help prevent and eliminate flows, transboundary flows into the Pacific. Next slide, please. This is just going to be a listing of different projects that we had talked about. Some of these are the new project types that I discussed at the beginning. So we can go to the next slide, please. So next slide just shows the picture. Our friends at SANDAG there with you all, Hector Venegas, Mario Orso with Caltrans, had a great signing ceremony in Mexico City last year that we participated in. And there's the picture of it. The NAD Bank has a role in terms of collecting the tolls and then splitting them amongst the shareholders on the US and Mexican side. Next slide, please. Next slide is our first international bridge or international crossing port of entry expansion project that we did. It's an air quality project in Texas. It was a $63 million loan for a LEED certified facility. The crossing was already in existence. They were adding the commercial piece to it to process commercial traffic. And then on the bottom there, you'll just see the environmental benefits like we talked about earlier. Next slide, please. This is Energía Sierra Juárez. This is the first transboundary wind farm. The windmills are actually in Tecate, but with a transmission line crosses into San Diego County, and the energy produced there is actually used in San Diego County. So very cool project. I don't know of another transboundary wind farm. So we're very excited to have been a part of that with Sempra and Innova. Next slide, please. This is the EnerSmart battery storage. This is they have several sites in San Diego County. Very interesting, and this is how NADBank is helping the state of California reach its goals of using 100% clean energy. And so we were very excited about this project. We'll actually have a ribbon cutting August 1st in Chula Vista, where the first battery site is located. Next slide, please. This is OSME. It's a healthcare clinic and hospital in San Luis Rio Colorado. Very, very interesting project. It's for the agricultural workers, but it was LEED certified, and so it uses less energy and less water, and that's how the bank was able to finance this project. So while there are, obviously economic and health benefits related to this project, for the bank, the core has to have that environmental benefit, that environmental piece component to it, and it did. Next slide. I think this is the last slide. This is a Sana. It's a frozen food processing plant also in San Luis Rio Colorado. And so they are also using a more energy efficient and water efficient processes in how they package the food and how it's shrink wrapped and frozen and then shipped. And so again, for us, we see that the joke at the bank is there was a NADBank 1.0 and now we're NADBank 2.0. So first was trying to help clean up, and we still have work to do there. Obviously, as folks have commented on Tijuana River Valley, and we want to continue to participate there. But there's also other opportunities for us now with manufacturing and sustainable industrial parks and the like. And so I'm pretty sure that's my last slide. That concludes my presentation. Again, thank you to Hector, Chairman, and all of you. I'm happy to answer any questions. And next time, I promise I'll be in person there with you in sunny San Diego. So thank you very much. There's my contact information. If anyone has any questions, would like to discuss any projects, we're happy to find some time to do that. Thank you very much. Mil gracias.
Jesse, thank you very much for your presentation, all the information you provided. Francesca, any public comments?
Thank you, Chair. We have two public comments on this item. Catherine Rhodes, followed by the original draw.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes. And my question is, what are the interest rates for the money that gets borrowed? Do people have to pay it back, or is it kind of like a grant? And then also, kind of what I said at the beginning, I really do think that SANDAG should be, instead of the EPA or the International Boundary and Water Commission, I believe that SANDAG should be in charge of these projects so that we at the local level could actually see what's going on. And then, another reason is because I think that I would like you guys to think of using this money to see if we could create a border, Friendship Park at Border State Park, and it could be funded through this. And then, of course, I want to just throw in my my La Playa plan for a full tidelands reclamation of San Diego Bay, where you could actually create underground space to capture stormwater and cisterns. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is the original draw. Please go ahead.
And can tell why you guys want to engage with these people, but yeah, I find that if you were working on the sewage with the Tijuana River with all the money you guys have, why isn't it any better? And it just continues to get worse and we have to declare it an emergency. But also just engaging in all of these things, it's quite interesting because this is where they get everybody on all ends of the spectrum. But your wind farms, your whole 100% clean energy is totally not possible to happen. The lithium batteries are toxic, the windmills are toxic to the environment. So you claiming that they aren't is totally bogus. But you working in the food and thinking that frozen food processing plant is better than like fresh foods, but right, like plants and anything living produces greenhouse gases. So in order to stop that, you're going to have to, provide all these other sources of food. And I'm wondering if you're into the fake meat game with good meat and upside food, producing fake chicken. Saying it's going to be like the new rich man's thing, right? Like, we've got to make everybody get online with this a whole new way of living.
Thank you. That concludes the public commenters.
Thank you, Francesca. Board member comments? Seeing none. Jesse, thanks again for the information. Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you in person very soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Moving on to agenda item number 4, AB 617, Community Air Protection Program, International Border Communities, presented by Domingo Vigil and Monique Lopez, San Diego Air Pollution Control District. Domingo and Monique.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Monique Lopez. Domingo was unable to be here today, but sends his regards. I work at the Air Pollution Control District in the Office of Environmental Justice, and I'm really excited to share a bit of our work currently at in San Isidro and Otay Mesa. And then is this the slide? Okay. In response to AB 617, the California Air Resources Board established the Community Air Protection Program, also known as the CAP. The program focuses on reducing exposure to air pollutants in the most impacted communities in the state. And during the first round of selection, environmental justice communities of Portside, which include Sherman Heights, Logan Heights, Barrio Logan, and Westside National City were selected to be part of the program. San Isidro and Otay Mesa were included in that first round of nominations, but weren't selected until February of 2022. And that's what I'll focus on today. But if folks have questions about Portside, I'm happy to also take questions in regards to that. The international border community has been selected because it is, as we all know, is an area that has high concentration or high percentile of traffic, more than any other part of the state. Additionally, in terms of particulate matter 2.5, the levels are in the 95 plus percentile in comparisons to other places in the state as well. Also, the Air District, was really concerned that particulate matter 2.5 and diesel particulate matter may be actually underreported. So these particular communities were really important to include in this type of participatory planning process, which I'll share more about in the next few slides. So the Community Air Protection Program is twofold. We have a monitoring program and also work with community members to develop a community emission reduction program as well. With the Community Air Monitoring Plan, we work closely with the community members that are part of the International Border Community Steering Committee in order to first identify where these monitors should be going and what we should be monitoring for as well. This information will help support our current understanding of air quality in the community, but will also be able to measure the success of the implementation of the program. The second part of the Community Air Protection Program is the Community Emission Reduction Program, which also is known as CERP. While the Community Air Monitoring Plan, CAMP, really focuses on monitoring air quality, the Community Emission Reduction Plan is a document that sets community goals to reduce air pollution emissions and identify strategies to help achieve emission reduction goals. I want to just pause here for a moment because the reason why in which this is important work that we're doing and not doing alone, we're certainly doing it in partnership with many agencies throughout the region, including Caltrans, and Jose has been really instrumental contributor in this group, also SANDAG as well. And I just want to mention Zach Hernandez, who's back here, also Mariela Rodriguez as well, have been incredibly helpful in working with the steering committee and are also members of the steering committee as well. But the reason why we do this work is because we know that in communities that are facing environmental injustices, that have disproportionate burden from these air pollutants, that they're also facing disproportionate health impacts as well. So some of the things that we will be monitoring for include particulate matter. And if we look at particulate matter, where does that come from, right? That comes from maybe off-road vehicles, dust, fires, construction, just to name a few. This causes things such as asthma, lung cancer, lung disease, heart disease alike. We're also going to be measuring for diesel particulate matter as well. The sources from that are primarily heavy duty trucks, trains, buses, generators, a lot of the same health impacts as particulate matter. Also looking at volatile organic compounds. This is from solvents, so liquids that are used to dissolve other substances. Could also be from automobile engines, so gas-powered automobile engines. And in addition to asthma and cancer, it can also cause liver and kidney damage alike. We'll also be monitoring for airborne metals. So what you'll see it primarily at the border in terms of whenever anybody brakes, those metals from the brake pads actually become airborne, right? So, and those are also toxic that have been linked to heart disease, cancer, and so forth. We'll also be measuring for odor-causing pollutants, right? In particularly in the west side of San Isidro, when you have the Tijuana River, that has been a concern of the community. So looking at air odor-causing pollution, which has been known to cause things like headaches, nausea, right? So the work we're doing really is with the intention in mind to improve air quality outcomes or air quality in the community so that we can also improve health outcomes as well. So the International Community Steering Committee. So this committee, serves really as a liaison between the Air District, California Air Resources, and the community. APCD relies on the International Border Community Steering Committee, one, to increase its understanding of the community, identify the needs and concerns in the community as they are experiencing them, and also to help inform where we should place additional monitoring equipment as well. A few things to note about this particular committee. This committee is primarily made up of community members. This is intentional. We want this committee and this process to very much be community-led. Secondly, these meetings are open to the public, and we actually sometimes get participation from environmental justice, community-based organization staff members from Tijuana that attend as well, because we do live in a binational community and airshed as well. And lastly, we also regularly report and share information with the San Diego Tijuana Air Quality Task Force, which is a group of US and Mexican public entities and stakeholders chaired by the Air Pollution Control District and the state of Baja as well. So what are some of the priorities the community has identified thus far? Some of the priorities that the community has identified include really being intentional and paying close attention to sensitive populations, meaning individuals in the community that could be most impacted from a poor air quality day. These include children whose lungs are still developing. This also includes elderly population, but also those that are chronically ill as well. So the steering committee has really wanted a focus, one, not only in terms of placing monitors near these sensitive receptors, right, or these sensitive populations, but also making sure that there are strategies put in place that directly, one, not only improve air quality, but also mitigate already existing impacts in these particular areas. And as you can see in this next slide, much of what the Community Steering Committee has identified is in relationship or in relation to mobile sources. Their pollution control district oversees stationary sources, so things that don't move, right? And other agencies like the California Air Resources Board and EPA oversee mobile sources, and that's why we're working in partnership with them as well. But some of the other priorities that the community has identified as part of this process is, one, in terms of passenger vehicle traffic, idling cars at the ports of entry, particularly, and this is something that may be interesting to folks here at SANDAG, particularly around traffic circulation near and around Las Americas outlet, Dairy Mart, Calle Primera, Willow, that's right next door to a school, elementary school, Camino de la Plaza, East San Isidro Boulevard, and many more. Another key priority that the committee has identified is in regards to heavy-duty trucks, looking at idling at the border in terms of heavy-duty trucks coming in. Also looking at the massive amount of warehouses that are located in Otay Mesa and the trucks that are coming in and out of those warehouses as well, and the continued expansion of those warehouses. And lastly, in terms of heavy duty trucks, people really interested in the current and future impacts of people living in new housing developments near freeways and warehouses, particularly along State Route 905. So then we come into land use conversations and issues as well. In terms of cross-border air quality concerns, we have odor from the Tijuana River coming from untreated sewage in Tijuana, trash and other items being burned on the Mexican side of the border, and then also industrial-related emissions as well. And lastly, in terms of other mobile sources that have been a key point or key source of community concern, also includes dust from ATV activity from the Border Patrol, particularly on the west side of San Isidro, emissions from rail yard and freight trains that actually pass right through the heart of San Isidro, And then lastly, pollution from local airports, such as Brownfield Municipal Airport, and the airport in Otay Mesa, and then also the airport in Tijuana as well, being key areas of air quality concerns for the community. So where are we in this process? So the community has already, as you've seen, identified what are those key air quality concerns and issues, right? The community has also identified where they'd like to have additional monitoring sites and what types of, and in an informed way with our monitoring team, have been able to also help guide what types of pollutants will be monitored for as well. So where we're at in the process is actually working with the community steering committee and our agency partners such as SANDAG, Caltrans, EPA, California Air Resources Board, and many others to start identifying strategies to address those air quality needs or air quality issues. So we're working with the committee to develop a set of strategies. And then by September, October, we'll have actually a draft copy of the community emission reduction program that the steering committee and community members alike and our agency partners will be able to review and provide further feedback on. And then it goes through a process at the Air Districts Board to approve, and then it goes to the California Air Resources Board to finally review and approve. And then this becomes our kind of blueprint or our guiding document of the strategies we're going to employ in partnership, again, with many public agencies on this side of the border and on the other side of the border as well, and serves as really our roadmap on how to start to reduce emissions in the communities of San Isidro and Otay Mesa. This is a program that has a lot of potential, but it certainly, as we've seen in the development of strategies, it certainly requires the partnerships of many different stakeholders, including community members, public agencies, folks in different industries as well, and folks in public health as well. We're also in close partnerships with folks, with professors at SDSU as well that are helping us with some public health data. So with that, love to help support and answer any questions. And here's my contact information if you'd like to get a hold of me directly.
Monique, thank you for the information. I do have a couple comments, but I'll save them to the end. I do want to let your partner Domingo know that lunch is on him next time for not being able to be with us.
Sounds good.
With that, Francesca, public comments prior to bringing it back to the board?
Thank you, Chair. We have one public comment on this item, the original draw. You can go ahead.
So when we talk about air quality, I feel like this is something you are using to scare people into this new way of living. And I'm not saying the air quality is the best, but what I feel is that, well, what I know is that you guys never address the geoengineering and the chemtrails that are happening above our skies, and that all of this particulate matter then floats to the ground and it affects all of the plant life, us, we breathe it in. They're nanoparticulate matter that has so many metals and so many eons of different ingredients that they are spraying above us, and nobody wants to acknowledge that. You want to say that these cars and, you know, all of these things are causing this stuff, but you never acknowledge the stuff that's above us falling down, which also causes fires. It causes health issues. It is very dangerous. But, you know, we talk about the things like right here on the surface, but we're not addressing that those things that are being sprayed above us fall to the surface, and that could manipulate your test and make you believe that it is just from cars when there are metals being sprayed. So look into it.
That concludes the public comments on this item.
Thank you, Francesca. Bringing it back to this board, I believe we have a few comments. Go ahead. Ladies first.
First of all, I want to congratulate you for what I think is one of the best studies I've seen in a long time. And, you know, this is what we've been talking about. We've been talking about it at the MTS Board of Directors. We've been talking about it here, and everywhere, anyone that pays, lends us an ear, right? We need to think about holistic regional solutions. And we saw it during COVID. that the strains were just going back and forth because we have such a large floating population. And I think studies like this really gives perspective into why we, not just the human factor, because for me, it's very important that people spend 4 hours waiting in line to come northbound to work here, and then another 2 hours to go southbound, plus the 8 or 9 hours they're putting in. There's really, the human factor by itself should be enough for us to want to make regional changes and border crossing more efficient. But this really puts a perspective into why for health, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. So I really, really do appreciate. I would love to invite you to the city of Chula Vista, and I will reach out to the mayor of Tijuana as well to see if we can do a presentation coordinated with Hector Vanegas, because I think this is information that we need to share and spread the word to create awareness.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Moreno.
Thank you, Councilmember Vivian Moreno from the city of San Diego. I have the pleasure of representing the border. So just to recap, you guys have set out the monitors, right? The monitors are set.
The monitors aren't set yet. The community has identified where to locate the monitors. And right now our team is working with schools, businesses to actually site the monitors in the next 6 months or so.
And the study is going to start in September?
The monitoring study will probably begin in the late fall, early winter, and it's going to be a long-term study. So the monitors will be in place 5 years plus, so that we can capture the baseline information, but also capture, as the program is implemented, what are the results of implementation.
Got you. SDSU has been doing this study for quite some time. Are you collaborating with them at all?
Absolutely. And actually, Jenny Quintana, who is at SDSU, part of that study, is working really closely with our monitoring team as well. So there'll be actually additional monitors than the ones that SDSU has as well.
Got you. And you mentioned two different parts of my district, actually, and two borders that are very much different and very much the same, right? You have San Isidro, most cross border of the world, that sits in a valley that shares the Tijuana River Valley. And then you have Otay Mesa, second most important commercial crossing of the nation. And I think even just being in the two areas, there's like a 5-degree difference just because of the elevation and the sea level rise. So you have monitors, your intention is to have monitors on both of those areas, both sides of the border.
Our plan is to have monitors both in Otay Mesa and San Isidro. We're working, as I mentioned, we're working with the Binational Air Quality Task Force. In Tijuana, they do have some monitors, primarily looking at particulate matter. So we're trying to gather that data. And actually one is at the U.S. consulate specifically.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Well, any help that you need from my office, obviously, we're here at your disposal. But thank you for this update. And when will you be coming back to Borders to give us an update?
I don't have that in mind, but I'll certainly coordinate with Zach. I think probably the best time would be once we have the final community mission reduction plan developed. That will be probably sometime in the late fall, early winter, which would probably be a good time to come back.
Wonderful. And much like Councilmember Chavez mentioned, I think it is imperative that you do a little road tour, if you will. I don't chair the environmental committee of the city of San Diego, but I think it would be something good to report in the near future. And I won't speak for our colleagues in Imperial Beach, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I think it is also important that you share this information because we are obviously a resource, but thank you for the update.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional board member comments? Go ahead.
Yes, Monique, will you be so kind and elaborate a little bit more on how these strategies are going to be implemented? Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. So as you saw, many of the air quality concerns are around mobile sources. And so a lot of the strategies in terms of air pollution control district's involvement in that is ongoing communication and coordination with the other agencies that do have jurisdiction in terms of implementing these strategies as well. So that will be, coordinating with both SANDAG and looking at the regional plan as well to make sure that there is coordination and things are in sync, but also coordinating with Caltrans as well in terms of their border planning efforts as well. So the district will serve as an ongoing coordinating and facilitator, and also serve as a point of accountability to make sure that these things are advancing in a coordinated way.
Thank you. Any additional board member comments? Seeing none, I want to echo Council Members Chavez, Moreno, as well as Mr. Marquez's comments. There's nothing more important in this life than health. We don't have health, we really don't have anything. We can't fight for fiscal, economic, financial issues. We can't fight over anything. So public health is extremely important. The fact that air quality contributes negatively toward heart disease, as you mentioned, cancer, asthma, especially in kids. I represent Imperial County where our asthma levels are through the roof compared to the state averages. So I commend you for your efforts and I look forward to your follow-up presentations, both at Borders Committee and obviously lighting up the light bulb in me to bring this back to the Board of Supervisors in Imperial County as well. So thank you very much. And again, Domingo, lunch is on him for missing out.
Thank you so much. And always happy to go to the Valley. I'm from the Valley, so in good company.
So July is a great month to visit.
Perfect. I think everyone should go.
Thank you. With that, we move on to item 5, Viejas Enterprise Microgrid Long Life Energy Storage Project, as presented by Omar Peralta, Indian Power SDRL.
Good afternoon,
Y
everybody.
viene más gente, supongo que se pueden presentar. Adelante.
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Escobar. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Omar Peralta, Managing Director of Indian Power and Indian Energy Associate Company. And with me is part of our excellent team, Alan Cadro, a CEO and founder of Indian Energy and co-founder of Indian Power. Nicole Ryder, who's an older Vice President in Project Development for Procurement for Indian Energy. Dr. Craig Ryder, who's the General Manager and Chief Sustainability Officer for Marahush, an Indian Energy partner. Lino Peralta was a co-founder and general partner of Indian Power. And also with our team, but they weren't able to be here, Dr. Mario Diaz was the Chief International Government Liaison for Indian Power, who we're very happy to have him with us on our team. He was a over 20-year employee for the state government of Baja, and his contributions to the state and also on an international level were one of the biggest achievements was that his work, was very influential in making the happening of the Chaparral border crossing right here in San Isidro. And before we begin the presentation, we'd just like to start first by thanking all of you for being here presently and virtually. A special thank you to you, Vice Chair Escobar and Hector Venegas, all Board Committee members, and for providing this wonderful platform. Thank you, SANDAG. And lastly, thank you to our families and project partners for their continued support. Also, our partners out there who are watching in San Luis Rio Colorado, Mr. Carlos Espinosa, and from the State University of Sonora, Jorge Quiroz. Now, we are here before you because we will present a project like no other currently in construction that perfectly represents our mission statement, and that is to bring energy and economic sovereignty to marginalized Native American tribal communities and Ejido communities that reside on both sides of the U.S. and Mexico border. Through the implementation of renewable and sustainable technologies, combined with education, community infrastructure, and job creation that will enhance the lives of the people living in these vast remote areas, providing a more dignified way of living, bringing light to the darkest point of the night. And without further ado, I'd like to present first the Viejas Microgrid Project and our colleagues, Alan Cadro, Nicole Ryder, and Craig Ryder, and the CEO of Indian Energy, Alan Cadro, please.
Jimmy Good, Omar, thank you very much.
Nukazit Odeing, Nadijinakas, the soft-hearted one that I'm called by. Ndodum is a Jijak. I came from the Crane clan. Ndunjaba, from an island of a tri-nation place between Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan and Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, from an island called Sugar Island in the Straits, just north of the Straits of Mackinac. I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak before here, and second what Omar had said with acknowledging all of the members here. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the agenda we're going to go through, a little bit about Indian energy, our vision for Indian country, the Indian Energy Group, tribes taking action, a tribal zero emission vehicle transformation effort that we're in the process of outlining, and then open it up for a quick talking circle. Next slide, please. So as stated, my name is Alan George Cadrew. My background is electrical engineering with an emphasis on quantum physics. And I as well have a 32-year plus electrical contracting license here in the state of California. The opening of Indian Energy, and I'll be real quick with this, really stemmed from us developing two projects up in Victorville, California, which was a $1.2 billion gas-fired turbine that was parabolically tied in through the Kramer Junction SEGs power plants. And we were developing municipality power plants back in the 2009, 2010. And in that time frame, one of the tribes, the Colorado River Indian tribes, had reached out to us and said, could you help us develop a municipality for our own reservation? And so that was the beginning of Indian Energy in 2010. So that's just a brief background of where we came from. Next, please. So our vision that has really been an integral part of my life from the onset of, and you'll see here why when I introduce my daughters, we have been working hard to, at a very young age, kindergarten starting, on educating in the STEM programs. She'll speak into that here momentarily. Building renewable microgrids on tribal lands that benefit the tribes. This is a behind the meter approach where much of the same challenges that Native American Indian communities experience is very similar to what the Department of Defense experiences. We're at the end of trunks. Our power quality is typically very poor and typically unreliable. And so this vision of creating microgrids on lands for the purposes of doing a couple long-term revenue streams and lower cost of energy. This microgrid creates additional revenue streams that parallel what most of gaming revenues coming from, from the gaming side. It is very apparent that our modern day buffalo has been found. And so diversifying into this energy sector is something that's very exciting for us. In addition to that, it's creating an opportunity because of the complexities of the projects. There is a need for electricians, plumbers, civil engineers, really highly focused on the STEM side of the approach and negotiating contracts to where there are mentoring capabilities that are pulled into the projects is a big emphasis that we're working towards. Additionally, developing a tribal Indian Institute of Technology is something that we're working with the Kumeyaay as well as some of the other surrounding tribes here to create an environment where both non-Indian and Indian indigenous have an opportunity to attend through a funded environment. So we're excited about this particular curriculum has already been drafted And we look forward to that. Dr. Craig Ryder here can speak into that. Additionally, forming tribal syndicate of investment in energy projects. This is a very important element of this overall vision of bringing in tribes that are cash rich and those that are land poor, cash poor, and partnering with these entities and tribal individual nations for the purposes of creating a development fund that allows us to be able to go out and develop projects both on tribal lands, partner with the state and the Department of Defense. The last, but certainly not least, improving the community health, not only aboard our reservations, but for the communities as a whole. Emissions is a very important element of that, as well as our water and our lands. And so that is a part of the vision here. And next slide, please. So here I'd like to introduce my daughter, Nicole Ryder.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us and allowing us to be here today. Ojo Washko Anungo Kwe is my given name, and I am the VP of Development and the Tribal Liaison for Indian Energy. I am also a proud member of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians. My background is also in electrical engineering. I hold a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, as well as a master's in psychology. I spent about 10 years at Southern California Edison, where I was responsible for large generation interconnection, as well as long-term system planning for distributed energy resources. And now my role at Indian Energy is to really ensure that we have everything we need to understand viability of projects and the ability to develop those projects. Part of that process includes looking at site control, interconnection assessments, and really sitting down with tribes and understanding what the short-term and long-term goals are and catering unique specific projects to meet those goals. It's a very exciting time to be in this industry and working with tribal nations. Next slide, please. So what you're looking at here is the Indian Energy Group. This is our vertically integrated suite of companies that work together and independently to support all of our energy infrastructure projects. Indian Energy is our flagstaff development firm that has a very clear focus on Indian country and the Department of Defense. Next, we have Indian Power, which is our development company in Mexico that's focused on large-scale projects at the border. Omar Peralta is the president of Indian Power and is working on an exciting project with the Ejidos in the Sonora area. Next, we have Mataush, which is our distribution, logistics, and maintenance company that supports all of our energy projects. Next, we have Chippewa Sustainable Solutions, which is our tribal 8A and joint partnership with the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians located in North Dakota. And finally, we have our special purpose entities, companies that are called Jinktamak, that are at the project level that allow for 51% ownership from tribes into the projects that we develop. Next slide, please. Tribes taking action. Energy sovereignty really is, as Indigenous people, to be able to make decisions on the generation, the distribution, and the consumption of energy, while aligning that with our goals towards a social, economic, and cultural perspective. When we talk about a triple bottom line benefit, we're talking about going beyond the traditional single line profit benefit and using those metrics, going beyond that to look at well-being, community health, benefits that come with a sustainable environment, and really focused on the people. Native partnerships, partnering with tribes is really the basis of all of this. It's about developing projects that benefit the tribes. The days of using tribal lands to benefit those off of the reservation are coming to an end. We are Native Americans partnering with Native Americans to grow and prosper together. The photos that you see here is Tribal Chairman for the Viejas, John Crispin, talking at the groundbreaking for the Viejas Enterprise Microgrid project. And the other picture you see here is the team accepting a CEC grant from the California Energy Commission for $31 million to help fund the long duration energy storage portion of the project. Next slide, please. These are some photos here showing the progress that's being made of the Viejas project that is currently under construction. You can see the 15 megawatts of carport solar, along with the containers that you see down in the bottom portion there, all contain the long duration energy storage. There's a total of 140 of those containers being implemented for this project. This, along with the work that's being done with the ejidos, are prime examples of what it looks like to have Indigenous communities standing up, taking charge, and owning energy sovereignty. I'll pass it on to Craig.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you to the Borders Committee for allowing us to speak. It's exciting to be here to talk about energy in Indian country and for all Indigenous people in North America. My name is Craig Ryder, and I am a proud husband of this amazing Chippewa Indian sitting next to me. I'm also General Manager and Chief Sustainability Officer of Mataush. Mataush means to distribute in Anishinaabe-Moin, which is the language of the Ojibwe people. I have 24 years in the energy industry in just about every capacity there is. I've been on the side of the utility, the owner side, the consultant side, the contractor side. And I can wholeheartedly tell you that there is nothing more rewarding than being on the side of the tribes. It's something that everybody can get behind. The work that Nicole has talked about that's being done at Viejas, the vision that Alan just laid out is changing the future for Native Americans. And I am so honored to be a part of it. My role as general manager allows me to procure and validate really cool technologies for power plants and transportation electrification. One of the most exciting technologies we are testing and procuring right now is this long duration energy storage. We are validating just about every type of energy storage there is on the market, from vanadium flow batteries and zinc bromide batteries to sodium ion and hydrogen. We have a test bed on Miramar Base, which is a joint partnership between NAVFAC, the California Energy Commission, and Indian Energy to test, validate, and certify long duration energy storage so that the state of California and the Department of Defense can have confidence in where they're allocating their money when it comes to long duration energy storage. Needless to say, this is an exciting time for the energy industry and for Indian country as a whole. My role as Chief Sustainability Officer is the best part of my job. It allows me to get involved with developing some really innovative solutions that provide many of the triple bottom line benefits for the tribes that Nicole was talking about earlier. Our solutions have to benefit the tribal communities, the environment, and the tribal economy as a whole. Without considering all three of those factors, the solution is not sustainable. The microgrids that Indian Energy is developing on tribal lands are viable and sustainable solutions for the tribes. Tribal, the next slide is for tribal zero emission vehicle transformation. The transformation, as we all know, as we head from carbon-based fuels into electric charging and hydrogen fueling, is a significant infrastructure build out that is going to need to take place. What you see up on the screen is Indian Energy's zero emission vehicle ring. And this is really the tribes banding together to solve our climate crisis. The ring refers to the ring of alternative fuel corridors in Southern California that are the main arteries for transport trucks. And by transport trucks, I mean the semis, the drayage trucks, the vans, and refrigerated trucks that come from the port out to the distribution areas. The ring will allow for ZEV fleet to get from the ports of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and San Diego out to the multimodal distribution centers and then out to their delivery points. Indian Energy's ZEV ring will provide fast, convenient, and reliable charging and hydrogen refueling for light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles. This infrastructure is currently not available and is a barrier for large companies with large fleets from investing in ZEV fleets. The ZEV ring will change all of that. Best of all, Indian Energy's ZEV ring will benefit all of the participating tribes by creating new revenue streams and jobs. That concludes our presentation, and we would like to open it up to any questions.
I do have a few comments, but I'll wait till the end as well. Out of respect, first of all, to potential public comments. Francesca?
Thank you, Chair. We have two public commenters. The original draw will be first, followed by Blair Beekman.
I don't want this to be taken as offense because I too am a Native American, but I feel like when you guys talk about education and bringing in this new way of life, of course you want to, do things that will help you be more energy sovereign. But the fact is that all of these things and forms of new energy are still toxic to the earth. And so as we sit here and say that they are not, they actually are, like all the EV vehicles. I mean, and all this stuff, like even just the windmills and the wind farms. But with these batteries that you have, I mean, these can light on fire, and with as the amount that they are, and when everybody's having these EV vehicles, these are fires that can't be put out. And so I just think about, if engaging with the, local government is the best idea, because this is a plan that they're pushing to, and the idea was to be sovereign from them, not do the exact same thing.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Blair Beekman.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks a lot for this item. It was really interesting to myself. The same as I was talking about border issues, good luck in how tech accountability and open public policy practices can help in this energy area. Really interesting. I'm interested how indigenous energy planning would I think better consider the fact that, in looking for storage capabilities, the rare earth minerals needed to mine the storage things. I think it's a really important concept that there has to be good worker rights for people who are mining minerals, for rare earth minerals, that I think indigenous tribes, I think, would very much respect. And it's building that a holistic process, and that, where to place things afterwards. That's all part of the effort. So thank you a lot for this item.
Chair, that concludes the public commenters.
Thank you, Francesca. Bringing it back to the board. Any comments? Go ahead.
Really appreciate this presentation. I actually am the board chair for CEA, Clean Energy Alliance, which provides power to Del Mar, Solana Beach, Carlsbad, San Marcos, and Escondido, and soon Vista and Oceanside. So this is extremely exciting to see the unincorporated portion of San Diego to have independence energy supplies. And I'm sure that San Diego Community Power, which is my sister or brother organization, which is all of the unincorporated area, would love to chat with you as you bring this up. And especially, obviously you want to provide power to yourselves, but if you do have extra power, we would love probably to purchase that and work with you to make sure that ultimately all of San Diego County has 100% renewable or carbon-free energy. So really applaud this effort.
Thank you. Jose.
Thank you. Really good presentation. Can you put the PowerPoint back, the second to last? Yeah, before that one. I was really intrigued about your proposal. Have you talked to this is Jose Marquez from the California Department of Transportation. Have you reached out to the California Energy Commission? They have several grants that you might be able to apply to deploy this type of technology and infrastructure. And I'll be happy to if you haven't, to connect you with the California Energy Commission. They have several programs. And is this just for trucks or for both passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles?
Light, medium, and heavy duty. And thank you. We have been talking with the California Energy Commission, but it would be, it's always appreciated to have more collaboration in terms of, getting these projects off the ground.
The other partner that you should also reach out to is the Port of San Diego. We've been in conversation with the Port of San Diego. As you know, well, they're also trying to deploy and implement zero emission charging infrastructure within their port lines. But one of their concern is what happened to the trucks when they leave? What are they going to charge? So they are very interested in for other agencies and entities to actually develop this type of infrastructure in rural areas for their trucks, so that the trucks that serve the Port of San Diego. And also I will be happy to connect you with them. We, Caltrans and SANDAG and the Port are also working really close together to implement zero emission and support zero emission infrastructure. So I'll be happy to talk to you after this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose. Go ahead.
I just wanted to share, much of this presentation has been focused around the concept of rolling these benefits back into our tribal nations. The comment that was mentioned, it's been one of our struggles is because we have to learn to live in both worlds. And this has been our journey since Christopher found out he had a lot of people here. And I would just like to say that there is tremendous benefit as the tribes begin to develop out their energy contribution to the grid, because it frees up the energy they're not consuming, which creates environments for deferrals of transmission and future generation. So there's some tremendous benefits for both sides of the fence, so to speak. And we embrace the intro for sure. All right, Miigwech, thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I believe Councilmember Chavez has a few comments.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And when we talk about ports of entry and borders, and we're neighbors with the most, well, we're sitting on the most transited border in the world, to say the least. I recently had a friend come from LA, and we were looking for charging stations for his electric car. And I can't help but wonder if there's any programs moving forward, not right now, but moving forward, that you have contemplated, maybe, because I was so aware by this issue and how little we have to accommodate electric cars in our region and close to our borders. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And I'm also curious, you mentioned ejidos in Mexico. I'm very familiar with ejidos. But exactly which ejidos are you working with? And that might be a question for him.
Thank you for the question. The ejidos that are participant with Indian Energy are 13 ejidos on the northeast of Baja California, and the ejidos on the northern west sector of the state of Sonora. One of the biggest one is for our project in Sonora. One is the ejido Las Adelitas, and they are providing about 35,000, close to about 70,000 acres into renewable solar and storage project that will benefit both sides of the border.
I would love to learn more. So if you have any more information, you can send that to Hector. I would love to learn more of how you're collaborating on both sides and how it's sustainable. And yeah.
Well, that is, like we said in our mission statement, we're trying to strive for sustainable economies and sustainable and for energy sovereignty for all of those communities, because they are the most marginalized, they are the forgotten ones, and they're the ones who live in the most impoverished areas. They don't have electricity in most of those sections.
That's why I'm so interested in that, because this is just such a viable resource for them. But moving forward, I'll reach out to you to see if I could get a little bit more information.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Go ahead, Alan.
Just real quick with regards to that, Indian Energy has been working in the Baja region since 2011, 2012. It started with the Cucapa. And that's when we were introduced to Lino, and we recognized that the ejidos were negotiating as individual landowners with the energy companies. And so Indian Energy and Omar and Lino, we came together and created that union back in 2012, 2013. It was pretty exciting for this specific set of opportunities. So it's been a long time in the making. Which
I'd like to add a comment about that. For the past 20 years, ejidos have been promised and indigenous tribes have been promised by big corporations that they were equal partners. But most of the time that we've noticed is that they've been taken advantage of by, these large corporations. Here they are, putting into the pot, thousands and thousands of acreage of land because, they're trying to obviously have a better way of life for their communities. And somehow, unfortunately, they're taken advantage of. So what we did is that we did a union with the ejidos to reinforce them, that way they don't just sign off their land rights for nothing, and that they can actually become partners and benefit from all these projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? I'll be quick. One, because we're half an hour behind schedule, and two, because I'm starting to get fidgety because I need a restroom break. First of all, my hat's off to you guys when I usually see the agenda, especially if this guy calls and wants me to run a meeting. So I look at the agenda in further detail. I'm always excited, and I'm happy to share that I'm advisory member for the executive board of SANDAG. So I got to listen to the update on Otay Mesa East. My day job is in the goods movement arena, so I'm very proud to see the progress on Otay Mesa East. But to be completely and brutally honest with you, I was blown away at this specific action item on the Borders Committee because of the innovation forward thinking of what your project brings to the table to low to moderate income communities, to the tribal communities that have really been marginalized for centuries. So my hat's off to you for being so innovative in what you're doing and making and creating opportunities that for a long time did not exist. I am also a supervisor for Imperial County, where there are tribal nations as well. And obviously, as I apologize, I got to go back to the list here. Omar mentioned the ejidos and the tribal nations that exist in those ejidos on northeastern Baja California, as well as northwestern Sonora or state of Sonora. So again, my hat's off to you. A lot of low to moderate income communities that will be benefiting for what you bring to the table. Obviously, a lot of light bulbs coming up in a lot of different areas based on what you're doing, and obviously creating those synergies that we desperately need in those areas. So congratulations. Last, a little plug for Imperial County, and I hope I don't get yanked for being the vice chair for Borders Committee for SANDAG. As you look in this map that Jose beat me to the punch and asked for it to be presented once again. We call it the Salton Sink, even though technically it's a Salton Sea. It's really in the middle of the map. It is about 3/4 Imperial County, 1/4 Riverside County. On the Imperial County side exists 15 million tons of lithium. It is by far the largest deposit of lithium in the entire country. So as you continue with these renewable energy facilities, storage facilities, energy storage, lithium battery recycling, et cetera, because it's like a pyramid effect of the opportunities that exist. There are tribal nations directly adjacent to the Salton Sea. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity to really, really expand these operations and really make other tribal nations really benefit, not indirectly through casinos, as we all know, but directly through renewable energy as you're doing. So with that, my hat's off to you. Congratulations. And I was happy to chair this meeting because you bring a lot to the table. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I believe we come to the end of our meeting. Having no further comments from the committee, I do announce that the next committee, and this is obviously wrong, oh, it's right, is scheduled for July 28th, 2023. So I look forward to seeing all of you here. Thank you.